The question for today that we're going to cover today is about solving two-step equation. The title is two-step equations. The essential question is how do you solve two-step equations? How do you solve two-step equations? So we're going to start with a review. Look at number one here. So 7 plus x equals 4. 7 plus x equals 4. And reminder, first thing we're going to do, you have to draw a line down the equal sign. Draw a line down the equal sign. You need to draw that line because that splits it up into two sides. So let's go ahead and do that. Draw a line down. That splits it up into our left side and our right side. And so you want to find where the variable is. The variable is on the left side, so I'm going to find the variable. Once I find the variable, I'm going to do, remember the X is method. X is method. So find the variable. The variable's on the left side over here, so that's the side I care about. And I'm going to do the X is method. X is method. So I find out what's happening to X. X is being added by 7. Good. It's being added by 7. So then I need to do the opposite. Opposite of plus, remember we said is minus 7. So I'm going to minus 7. But what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I'm going to minus a 7 over here as well. These cancel. All I have left is my x equals 4 minus 7. Those are different signs. Or you could think of it this way. The positive team scored 4, negative team scored 7. So the negative team won by 3. So my answer is negative 3. Good. So that's how we do one steps. That's how we do one steps. Today we're going to look at two-step equations. The one step is called a one step because it only takes one step to solve. These ones are called two steps because they take 2 steps to solve. So here we go, number 2. Let's do negative 6 plus 7x equals 29. Negative 6 plus 7x equals 29. And we're going to do the exact same thing. Same steps that we have here. So we're going to draw a line down the equal sign. All right, so let's do that. Draw a line down the equal sign. We need to find the variable. Here it is. The variable is right here on the left side. So now I need to do the X is method. The X is method. Now there's 2 things happening to X. There's a times by 7 right here. This is times by 7. Remember, number and variable together is times. And then there's a minus 6 or a negative 6, a minus 6. So there's 2 things happening here. So how do we know which one to put first? How do we know how to undo it? For that, we're going to need our old friend PEMDAS, the order of operations. PEMDAS. Remember, PEMDAS, that stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplying, dividing, add, and subtract. So parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. So this is the order that we do math in. It's called the order of operations. That's the order that we do math in. So if I look here, I have multiplying and I have subtracting. Well, if I go to my order of operations, which one comes first? Multiplying comes first. So I'm going to do the multiplying first. So I see here that I multiply by 7. That's right here. Multiply by 7 times. Remember, there's an invisible times right here. So I multiplied by 7. And then afterwards, I subtracted 6 or negative 6. We're going to look at it as a subtraction. Subtracted 6. Those are the 2 things I did. And remember over here, I have to do the inverse. Inverse means the opposite. So the opposite of multiplying, let's write all the opposites out real quick. Opposite of adding is subtracting. Opposite of subtracting is adding. Opposite of multiplying is dividing. Opposite of dividing is multiplying. Those are the opposites, or the inverse, better math word, inverse. So times by 7, the inverse of times by 7 would be to divide by 7. The inverse of minus 6 is plus 6. So how do we solve two steps equation? We solve two-step equations. Write this with me. Go ahead and write this with me. We solve two-step equations by doing the inverse in reverse. Doing the inverse in reverse. Do the inverse in reverse. So here are the inverses, and we're going to do them in reverse, meaning we're going to do them plus 6 first. We're going to start here and go up. We're going to do these ones. We're going to do it in reverse. So instead of top down, we're going to do it from bottom up. So we're going to add 6 first. Add 6 first. Add 6 first. These cancel. 6 minus 6 is 0. That's why I did it. And I'm going to bring down my 7x because that's all that's left over. Here, I can add these. These are both positive, so I add those together and I get 35. Now, once I did plus 6, now I can come over here. Now I'm going to divide by 7. Remember, the way we showed division is by a fraction, so I'm going to divide by 7. But if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other side. I'm going to divide by 7. These cancel out. X equals 35 divided by 7 is 5. Do the inverse in reverse. The inverse in reverse. Good. Draw a line down the equal sign. Find the variable. Do the X is method. All right. That was kind of a lot of steps all in one. Let's try another one. We can kind of break it down a little bit. Let's do here 6 equals 3z minus 9. 6 equals 3z minus 9. All right, remember, first step, draw a line down your equal sign. Split it up into two sides. Second step, find your variable. My variable this time is on the right side. It's on the right side. It's right here. There's my variable. So once I find it, now I need to do my X is method. So take a couple seconds here. Write down the two things that are happening to X, or Z in this case. Write down the two things that are happening to Z. Good. It is being multiplied by 3 and subtracted by 9. And based on order of operations, times goes first and then subtracting. How do we solve two-step equations? We do the inverse in reverse. So inverse of minus 9 is plus 9. Inverse of times by 3 is to divide by 3. So I'm going to do the inverse in reverse. I'm going to do this first, and then this second. This first, and then plus 9 first, and then divide by 3 second. So start off by doing plus 9. I'm going to put that plus 9 right underneath that minus 9. But if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other side. Oh, make a line going across. These 9s cancel. I'm going to bring down my 3z equals 9 plus 6 is 15. Good. And then now the second step was to divide by 3. So I did the +9. I'm done with that. Now I'm going to divide by 3. And remember, the way I show division is with the fraction. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. These cancel. Z equals 15 divided by 3 is 5. Good. The inverse in reverse. The inverse in reverse. Let's try these two problems on your own. 4 and 5. Let's do 4x minus 1 equals 15. And let's try one over here. 11 equals -4 plus 5x. 11 equals -4 plus 5x. Good, go ahead and try these two. Try your X is method. And then we will go over them afterwards. Good, all right. So let's looking here. Draw a line down my equal sign. X is being times by 4 and -1. Times by 4 and -1. So the opposite would be +1 and then divide by 4. Do the inverse in reverse. So +1, +1. Those cancel. 4x equals 16. So I finished +1. Now I'm going to divide by 4. Divide by 4, divide by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. And then I'm done there. X equals 4. The inverse in reverse. All right. Number 5. Draw a line down your equal sign. Find your variable. It's on the right-hand side over here. So what are the two things happening? X is being multiplied by 5. And then plus a -4, so I'm going to write that as a -4. So do the inverse in reverse. I'm going to add 4 first. Add 4. Add 4. These cancel. 5x equals 15. And then divide by 5, divide by 5. Right, that's the inverse over here. Divide by 5. So I'm going to divide by 5, divide by 5. X equals 3. Check your answers there. X equals 3. Good. Last step. All we have to do now is to answer our reflection question. The question was, let's look at the top. How do you solve two-step equations? And here is your answer. Go ahead and fill that in on the bottom. All right, fill that in. So we solve two-step equations by doing the, make sure you write this, inverse in reverse. That's our saying for the day. The inverse in reverse. You'll hear that a lot. We solve two-step equations by doing the inverse in reverse. Good. Thank you guys. And those are your notes for today.